Hi everybody, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel, and this is the weekly angel card reading video for the week beginning at Monday, July the 15th through to Sunday, the 21st of July 2019. It is a very big week. Even if you are not super interested in astrology, you might have heard around the traps some talk about eclipses. This is called eclipse season. We had 2 weeks ago a solar eclipse coinciding with a new moon. And this week we have a full moon coinciding with a lunar eclipse, which is very powerful. Whenever you've got an eclipse coinciding with one of those new moons or full moons, it's big. It just means the energy is more intensified, and that means you may be feeling it. And we're already going through a Mercury retrograde, so the energy is kind of like, whoa, at the moment. So let's just try and be kind to ourselves, whatever we're going through. So this full moon slash lunar eclipse, is happening in the sign of Capricorn. Here in Sydney, it's going to happen in the early hours of Wednesday morning. I think in the States, it's more like a Tuesday night situation, the 16th. So I'm saying the 16th slash the 17th because it depends on where in the world you live. And in fact, in some parts of the world, you can probably even see it. But I certainly won't be getting up early to do that because I love my sleep. Anyway, the sign of Capricorn is a sign of career, structure, long-term goals, ambition. It's also the sign of masculinity and the patriarchy, public image and reputation, experts, all that sort of thing. So, it may show up some sort of changes. Remember that the full moon's all about release and those sort of areas. If you've got a long-standing issue with your dad, that might come to a resolution, or you might, make peace with it in some way. Or if you're trying to make a breakthrough in your career, you might lose one opportunity, which clears space for another one to come through down the track. So, there's so many ways this could be showing up for you, but full moons, they're primarily about release and kind of reaching a crescendo. So you could get some sudden changes happening there with the energy so strong, but you might also feel really like wired, which can often happen around a full moon. If you are an empath in particular, you're sensitive to energy, the energy is going to be intense. You might find you're struggling to sleep, or you might find you're perhaps even extra tired and just feeling a little bit off kilter. So that's enough astro talk. As you guys know, I'm not an astrologer, I'm a card reader. I'm interested in astrology, and that's why, and I write about it, that's why I talk about it. If something significant, I'm going to bring it up, and that is, an eclipse is significant. So let's move on to the cards now. Monday, shield yourself. We had this exact card last Tuesday. Exact card. I don't just mean the same message, I mean the exact same card. So this is telling us the energy is going to be big and you need to protect yourself. I posted about this last week. It is not your obligation to spend time with people who are toxic. You're not doing them any favors at all. This is a mistake. Maybe not a mistake, it's not the right word, but this is a problem, or has been an issue for me in the past. I thought that it was my job to be nice to people, even if they annoyed the crap out of me. And so I thought that I was doing some sort of public service by tolerating that. Wrong. I didn't do them any favors. In fact, I was enabling their sort of unhealthy kind of behavior. But anyway, live and learn. Well, ideally we live and learn. So you must protect yourself from toxic people, people who are overly negative, critical, bitchy. Now, I know we all as human beings go through phases of this behavior, but I'm talking about people who that's kind of like a constant for them. They are constantly critical. They are constantly negative. They are constantly bringing you down. That is a sign of toxicity, and you need to isolate yourself from it. Now, sometimes you can't because you're related to those people, and that's a time when shielding yourself is going to be particularly useful to you. It means protecting your energy. You're asking Archangel Michael, and this card deck is dedicated to Archangel Michael, to put a shield, a clear, energetic shield around you to protect your energy. Only love can come in, only love can go out. That's what it's all about. It's not going to stop things being, you're going through issues or having feelings that you perhaps find unpleasant in your life. That's just the deal of being human. But the purpose of it is to make sure if you are around someone who's toxic, you're not going to take this stuff on board. You're not going to go home in a bad mood as a result of spending time with this person. You're not going to take this stuff personally. That's the purpose of it. And I will, if I remember, post on social media a message about how to shield yourself, but it's really easy. You basically just ask Archangel Michael to do it. I tie it into my daily meditation because it's my daily ritual, but you might not, you might devise your own way for doing that. I sometimes even do it again during a day if I feel like I'm like I'm going into a meeting that I think might be unpleasant or something like that. Tuesday, I salt. It says undying love, but this is one of those cards I always found a little bit ambiguous, because when I actually look into it, the meaning of the card, and tune into it, it's about grief. The undying love kind of, to me, implied some sort of romantic kind of connection, and perhaps that is for some of you, but for me it's about grief. So it comes up for people who are going through breakups or bereavement of a partner. So yes, romantic love is primarily what it's about, but not necessarily. You might be grieving the loss of a friend, or a friendship that you've had to walk away from, and there may be a connection with that. Shield yourself in terms of you having to disconnect from someone who you have a lot of wonderful memories with, but who that friendship is no longer healthy for you. And the card is asking you to honour your feelings. However you feel, allow yourself to go through that process. It is a slow process, grief. It's not linear. You go back and forward, you go in and out of it, and just try to be patient with yourself and compassionate towards yourself through that process. Whatever you're feeling is what you are entitled to feel, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, and it doesn't mean that you need to have regrets. Just try to look forward to the future and hold on to hope that things will get better. And yeah, it's about, so if we look at grief, when we're grieving something, it's something we've lost. It might be a relationship, it might be perhaps you've had to let go of some sort of idea you had about yourself, or a story you were telling yourself about your future, or who you are, or what you intended to do in the world, something like that. So whatever it is you've lost, the card is really about making peace with that loss, and understanding that you're moving in the right direction, and that it will be okay, even though it's not easy to come to terms with that loss sometimes. So we'll go ahead with Wednesday now. Oh, I love this. Take back your power. And we have an extra card here, which is very appropriate, called the moon cycles. Let me talk about this first. So take back your power. The ways we give back our power are when we incessantly complain about something, when we leave it up to other people to make decisions for us, when we blame other people for things that have happened to us. And I'm not saying they might not be responsible, but you need to own your part of it too. Where did you go along with their bad behaviour? Where did you allow them to treat you badly? It's not easy to come to terms with that sort of thing, but taking back your power is about basically stepping into the driver's seat, which is appropriate when we talk about that Capricorn, which is energy, which is about long-term goals, looking forward, and particularly in a career sense as well. So where have you given away your power, and how can you take it back? And even if you haven't given it away, how can you take a more empowered position as you move forward into the future? Again, Capricorn, long-term goals. So what do you need to be working on, and how can you do to get there? Even if it's hard, what one thing can you do right now to get yourself closer to that, and then the next thing you can work on that. So here we have Wednesday, moon cycles. I'm just going to read it to you. Notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. So the card may be telling you to work with that Capricornian energy in terms of your long-term goals, or dealing with any stuff around men, or dealing with anything to do with your reputation, if that's suffered, how you can rebuild that, or maybe not being so attached to your reputation might be something as well. And also, as I mentioned, career and long-term goals. But also, I'm just going to read this part again. Notice how the moon affects your energy. So if you are feeling really tired, as I said, drained or wired, just go with whatever you're feeling, and know that it will pass. It's just the cycle you're in. We know that nature goes through cycles. The trees lose their leaves, new ones bud, and then they bloom, and then they wither on the tree. So it's the same with us. We go through cycles. We're high energy, we're low energy, and we need to honor where we're at right now, and not make the mistake of thinking this is it forever, which we tend to do. We tend to catastrophize like that and go, things are always going to be this hard, or whatever it is. So that's a wonderful message. And in fact, if we put these two cards together, the moon cycles and the power, use the power of the full moon to let go of what's not serving you and to set some goals for where you want to go and how you're going to do that. Like really, and it's an action kind of energy there too. It's really taking steps towards making that happen. So I love that combination. Often, you guys know, when I get two cards together, I get a bit annoyed because makes the reading longer and it makes for a very long post on Instagram. I don't like doing long posts because I know people are just going to scroll right through if it's too long. Too long, didn't read. But that particular combination is very appropriate. Thursday, chopwood. I love the language of this particular card deck. They're really grounded. So chopwood is about doing the work, doing the tasks you need to do. You might notice there's a broom and a bucket on there. I'm not sure how well you can see that. And that's talking about everyday tasks. So we tend to rush past those kind of everyday boring tasks. Oh God, here's the dishes again, etc. But try to remember that those are adding up to something. They are worthy. They are, they need to be done, and yes, they're not always exciting, but they are necessary. So do the work you need to do. And that's just what I was talking about before in terms of that power. Taking steps. The universe responds to action. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not enough just to send out manifestation and wishes to the universe. You need to be moving forward and actually taking action steps towards that. So the universe has got somewhere to send the energy to support you. And so again, doing the steps that you need to take, or taking the steps you need to take in order to get to where you want to go. Doing those tasks, as boring as they may seem. You want to start a business? You're going to have to do a business plan. Yes, that's dull, but you need to do it, etc. That's just an example. Doing those tasks that might be a little bit monotonous, not always full of glory, but which are necessary. My sister-in-law has this great saying, do the dishes to do the dishes. Don't just do them to get to the next thing. Do them because that is how you're spending your time in that moment, and you can be mindful about that and instead of rushing through it. Ooh. Friday we have impeccability. I feel this card's sort of about integrity, and it says I'm impeccable in my thoughts, words and deeds. Now Mercury, the planet of communication, which is what this is kind of about, is in retrograde, as I said. That means that we aren't always communicating that was a Freudian slip. We're not communicating clearly at the moment, or potentially we're not. We might say things we don't mean, or say things that don't accurately reflect our intentions or our motivations. So, and we need to offer people grace as well to understand that when they say things to us, that perhaps that's what's going on for them. Not taking things too personally is kind of important at this time. So this card is reminding you to come back to what you actually intend to say, and to just be really mindful of the words that are passing your lips, the thoughts you're thinking. Are they really what you want to be thinking to take you where you want to go, or are they actually kind of low-grade sabotaging yourself? Are you acting in ways that serve who you are, what you value, and what you want? So again, coming back to the integrity of what you're doing and who you are and what you've set out to do. If you have a goal to set for example, if you're trying to manifest a relationship, and part of your process of that is improving your relationship with yourself so you can better attract that relationship, then one of the things you'll be concentrating on, I assume, would be treating yourself with respect, because of course we all want a partner to treat us with respect, and it has to start with the way that we are treating ourselves. So if you are therefore saying mean things to yourself or thinking mean thoughts about yourself, you are off message. You're out of integrity, and so you need to come back into integrity with what do I want, who do I want to be, and where do I want this to go in the future, which is obviously the relationship. But I would say that setting an intention to improve your relationship with yourself purely for that as a means, not as a goal, an end goal, rather than as a means to an end, is a very worthy goal. In fact, I think everybody needs to do that regardless of your relationship status. Now, Saturday, opportunity to forgive with the mysterious koala on here. I'm not quite sure what that symbolises. The author of these cards is not Australian, so I'm not quite sure how that came to be, but anyway. Interestingly, koalas sleep about 20 hours of every 24, so perhaps there might be something in there for you about needing to get more sleep in terms of that full moon energy as it wanes a little. But the card opportunity to forgive is about achieving peace. Now, there are some acts that happen that it's just not realistic for you to forgive the person because they're too horrible, or they're too the wounding's too great. And so what you need to be looking at instead is not forgiving the person, but kind of healing the wound. The card is really about wounding and achieving peace. If you are stuck in a place of anger and resentment and bitterness, you're keeping yourself stuck. You're not moving forward, and that means you're going to continue to attract more situations to be angry about, and it's just going to multiply, and you're going to be really stuck in that place. You're not going to grow, and healing's all about growth, of course. So it might be that you, depending on what's going on, you need to speak to an expert about this, see a therapist, a counselor, or an energy healer to get to the wound that's really at the heart of what happened. Maybe you need to do some work in terms of really having some self-reflection time to think about, why did this happen? Did I in any way contribute to this by perhaps trusting someone that I knew I could not trust? And that's not about blaming yourself, which is totally unhelpful. It's just about owning your side of the street so that you can break the pattern, because nothing goes away until it teaches us what we need to learn. I know I say that a lot. So there may be some self-reflection that needs to happen there, but whatever it is you need to do to move forward is really what the card is asking you to do, to heal. And it does say opportunity to forgive, but I try not to tell people to forgive, because I think it oversimplifies. In some cases it's just not a helpful approach. So I kind of drill that back to the essence of the card, which is about that healing and about that dealing with the wounding that's going on there, and needing to find peace from those sort of toxic emotions that aren't serving you, although they may be entirely justified. So Sunday, we have an angel here called Ariel, and it's all about your spiritual gifts. So stepping more into your spiritual journey, which is a great time to do. I mean, it's always a great time to do this, but particularly with that full moon energy, that's really kind of can shine a light on things that need to be addressed, and in particular can illuminate our growth, but it may enhance our spiritual gifts, in fact, as well. So it may be that you're feeling a call to meditate. You don't know how to go about that, so you might like to look into courses or apps. It might be that you are getting some messages about some changes you need to make in your life, and you're not sure if they are a good idea. Yes, here's your sign. That is your intuition. Ask for another sign if you're not sure. And there's tons of information on my website about typical angel signs. If you ask for a sign, do not specify what you want it to be. You're limiting the angels too much, and they can't deliver. It's not a restaurant that you put in an exact order. So this is really just about opening up to new spiritual experiences that might be taking you away from the life that you have lived or enjoyed, and perhaps that can be a little bit uncomfortable for people, distressing even, because I've talked about this before, but when I started opening up to my spirituality, I had to let go of a lot of friendships or connections that were not serving me, because they were not necessarily toxic, but they were engaging in behaviours that I no longer engaged in, and they were around in terms of gossip and that sort of thing. And also those people weren't in a process of growth, and I was in a process of growth, which meant that I was going to be, that they were going to be triggered by my growth, and it was just uncomfortable for me to be around that. Being around people who lift you up and who are also actively working through their own stuff is really healthy for you. People who are in a victim mentality, I'm not using an example here of my life, I'm just stating in general terms here. People who are in a victim mentality claim they're really unlucky, not doing anything to fix the ways they are contributing to their situation. Those are not good people for you to be around. They're going to make you annoyed on one level, and they're also people who are going to stay stuck. And you need to be around people who are working on their own stuff, because that, you lift each other up in that way. Anyway, so I guess the theme here is around taking charge of your life. I know that sounds vague, and taking charge of your energy, taking charge of your power, doing the tasks you need to do or the actions you need to take to move forward, making sure your words and actions and thoughts are in alignment with that, and your own. Healing is really the theme of the weekend, with this making peace with where you're hurting and your spiritual journey. So yeah, taking back power, moving yourself forward and taking charge of your healing are the themes of the week. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week where, to my knowledge, there are no great astrological things we need to freak out about. And I would say on that, by the way, that freaking out isn't going to help. Just let yourself be where you're at and just know that it will pass. It's when we are trying to control things too much that this sort of stuff often happens, to remind us that we just need to kind of go with what's going on and just to be gentle as we move through it. The best way out is always through. Being in resistance doesn't work. These will go on my social media. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel. My Facebook page is One Grounded Angel. And if you want to make an appointment, I'm an energy healer and I also do personal angel card readings to people all around the world. You do not have to be living in Australia. In fact, the vast majority of my clients do not live in Australia. So I do that. I do readings via Skype and email, and I do energy healing sessions via Skype and phone. You can contact me to do that on my website, www.onegroundedangel.com. There's a wealth of information on there as well. And to make a booking, you need to hit up the bookings form. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back next week. Let's hope it goes well. It will go well. Let's just be optimistic and let things play out as they need to. Take care.